They sell out every single year.
Yeah, it's been on my bucket list for years.
One sec, I gotta plug my speaker in.
They sell out every single. Nope, I just heard heard myself again.
Mute the YouTube, you should be good to go.
All right.
Should be good.
Make sure that I'm recording. I am. Notes.
Yeah.
Live chat seems to be working. I've got it open up on YouTube.
Cool, and there will be a little bit of a delay, about 15 seconds or so.
Yeah, I've got that tab muted so it doesn't like reverberate back and forth.
Cool. All right.
Feedback is a metal staple, Wyatt. What are you talking about?
My bad.
All right.
Oh, Wyatt, do you want me to start? I have to get so much better at this, but do you want me to call you Krios all the time online? Because I always forget. Like,
Oh, that's all right, dude. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do that a bit more.
Okay.
Cool.
I will try very hard to remember.
It's all right. No, I'm not gonna like castrate you or anything if you do it wrong.
Okay.
Oh, dude, if we could get live castration on the podcast, we get so many ratings, dude.
Great.
Tremendous.
All right.
That's
Yes, song
one of them
title.
videos you don't want to see.
All right. Welcome to episode 77 of the Thrash Report. This is for February 8th, 2022. My name is Chris, and this is the weekly music commentary podcast for all things metal and heavy music. All right, everyone. My name is Chris, and joining me, my co-host, my partner in crime, Jim Osborne. Jim, what's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. I'm doing good, ready to talk metal again. And that intro music you heard was the band Pursuit from Fargo. And they are, like my bathing suit, they are a three-piece. And we have two of those pieces with us tonight. We've got Henry Jordan and Krios. How you doing, gentlemen?
Good.
Gentlemen,
Doing
thanks for
very
joining
good.
us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, anytime. I know people that listen to our show are probably a little bit familiar with you as, I don't know, when was it? November, I think, or early December, we saw you in the Twin Cities.
Yeah, I think it's the third or fourth. I think the third was Club Underground.
Yeah, it was the
Yep.
Toys for Tots thing.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, and that was every band there kicked ass, but I remember watching you guys, and within the first few seconds was already blown away and just turned around and looked at my friend and like, wow.
Yeah.
And it never let up, and it was an amazing show. You guys kicked ass, so very happy to hear what you have to say tonight, and can't wait to hear more of your music.
Thank you so much. That means a lot, dude. Seriously.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Lots of hard work.
I bet.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. Looking forward to hearing more and hearing what you guys have planned. And we'll get into talking about, what stages you are in your prepping of the album and what you have currently available. And then we'll talk about shows that you have coming up, as well as where everyone can find information about all things Pursuit. So pretty cool, man. Jim, let's go ahead and kick it off. What's one of the very first things we ask our guests on the podcast?
Well, it's a study of ours, I guess. We always like to find out how our guests got into metal, or pretty much anybody I see on the street and we talk metal. How'd you get into metal? So, I don't know. I just love asking this question.
You're passing somebody in like a Maiden shirt. Hey, buddy, how'd you get into metal?
Yep.
It's
So,
a tribe thing.
Yeah, so Bake It Away Toys.
Ooh.
No
How you get
goes,
into metal?
Henry.
What was that?
Nose goes.
Shit. All right. Well, I'd like to say that I was in the midst of a noble battle back in the Middle Ages and riding on the back of a screaming eagle, and that's how I got into metal. But the real story is when I was in high school, I was super, super in love with Nirvana, and from there, Nirvana got me into hardcore punk, like the Dead Kennedys and the Sex Pistols, bands like that. And I remember like trying to branch out one day. I was about 17 or 18 years old, and I bought the Master of Puppets CD because there's nobody that hasn't heard of Metallica. So I thought, what the hell? I'll listen to Master of Puppets and see what I think. And I just remember in my car driving to school, and as soon as the fucking ding, boom, boom, bing of battery starts, I was like, what the fuck is this? And that was just the heaviest shit I had ever heard in my life at that time. And from there, just grew and just started loving metal.
It's when you hear things like that and hear it for the first time, it's like the hair stands up on your arms and you're like, what the fuck?
It was crazy because it was like, man, in high school, I was wearing like Argyle sweaters and was like clean shaven and dressing all nice and shit. And now I look like I've been scraped out of an alley.
Finest alley we've ever seen.
How long do I have to say my answer? That should be my first.
We can edit out the crappy parts if you want.
Yeah, no kidding. 3 hours later. So both my parents, they both grew up in the 70s. They were born 1964, the very end of the baby boomers. And as you guys all know, in the 70s, there was a lot of really bitchin' hard rock coming out of America and all over the place. On my dad's side, it was things like Ted Nugent and Van Halen. And from my mom were things like Hair of the Dog and Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin, et cetera, et cetera. So they had me, right? My older half brother was, influenced by all these sorts of music as well. And he started listening to stuff that was even heavier than that. And one of my very first memories was in the house that I first grew up in when I was a little kid. He came into my room. He's like, Wyatt, come here. Pulled me into his room. He goes, you got to listen to the drums on this album. I was maybe 5 or 6. He pressed play, and I hear the rain, and then I hear gum, gum, gum. And it was Raining Blood by Slayer. He goes, listen to this drum right here. And then that riff kicks in, and that's how I started my journey into metal was with my older brother showing me Raining Blood.
That's awesome.
5 fucking years old, dude. Holy crap.
Yeah, I remember that because since I was little, it was always like, you're going to be a drummer. You're going to be a drummer. Like, check out all these things. And then my older brother showed me Dave Lombardo from Slayer on Raining Blood. And that was it. That's the focus, And since, I've branched out all over the place as far as drumming is concerned, but metal's always been the meat and potatoes of my music, digestion.
All the times we've asked this question, Slayer usually is something that people get into later on. I don't know that we've had someone start with Slayer, so that's pretty badass.
Yeah, right. First heavy metal band, first live concert.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yep. Yeah, I saw Slayer at the Civic Center in March of 2016 with Testament and Carcass.
Nice.
That was my first concert ever.
Wow.
Nice.
That's cool. And so how did you guys end up? I mean, where did Pursuit rise from the ashes? Like, where did this come from? How did you guys meet? And how did Pursuit, when you guys are out of Fargo, how did you guys kind of start this project?
Man, okay. I could write a novel on this shit. So Pursuit was born in my mom's basement about, holy shit.
At least you said basement and not like in your mom's uterus, because that'd be weird.
Well, I mean, if it starts with the birth of me,
I
then
suppose.
yes. I mean, come on. But, no, but it started in my mom's basement about probably 2017, 2016, actually, I think.
Okay.
At that time, it was actually a punk rock band, and it was a hardcore punk band for quite a few years. But at that time, it was called Pursuit of Cash, which was like, a younger Henry's play on like pop music and shit like that, being all about money. But yeah, it was me.
I got
I love it.
It was myself, and the very, very first drummer that we ever had was this dude named Matthew Bozo, and that was his actual last name. And then we had, holy shit, there's been like probably 6 or 7 drummers and definitely the same amount of bass players in this band. So let me think back a ways here. Fuck, who was it? I think we had this buddy I knew at the time named Nick, who joined in on bass. And then Matt had a couple kids and ended up not being able to commit the time to it, which is totally understandable. So got this dude in named Zach, and he rehearsed with us a few times, and then he kind of parted ways. We had a few disagreements at that time, and he comes back later in the story. Much later in the story, and was the drummer for the band for honestly about 3, almost 4 years afterwards. But so my brother Sam actually ended up playing the very first gig back in 2016. We had booked a punk rock show in the conference room of a library, and we played all covers. We did, I think, California Uberales, Too Young to Die by Agent Orange, About a Girl by Nirvana. I think we did Last Caress by the Misfits. Probably not a good judgment call since it was an outrageous show, but nonetheless, and then, yeah, man, we had quite some numerous lineup changes, but before Wyatt, the most solidified lineup included our current bassist, Dalton, which I had met in late 2017 when I started college up at MSUM in Moorhead. So he joined in on bass, and at that time, Zach had been back in the band for about 1.5 to 2 years, I think. I'm not getting my timeline right. Band started fucking 2016, 27. Okay, so Zach had been back in the band probably about 6 months, and then, holy shit, I'm not making this sound very credible at all, but
That's all right. I'm not writing this on Wikipedia, so we're good.
yeah,
Wiki ever.
there's holy cow, there's been so many people through here. So then it was me, Dalton, and Zach for quite some time. And then we parted ways with Zach just due to some personal disagreements. And then after that, we had a dude named Rick who played a couple gigs, wrote a couple songs with us, but things weren't really working out. And so it was just Dalton and I, and we were looking for a drummer, and a buddy of mine named Chris, who lives in Fargo, was like, yo, dude, if you guys are holding the tryouts, you should hit up Wyatt, my buddy Wyatt Sherrick. He plays in Thrallfrost, which is a black metal band from Fargo. And Dalton and I were like, all right, dude, it's worth a shot. So we hit Wyatt up. We were like, hey, man, looking for a new drummer. We're not a punk band anymore. We're kind of doing like this thrash metal, like, type shit. Would you be willing to learn a couple songs that we have written right now and try out for the band? And Wyatt was like, yeah, sure. And came in. Wyatt, it was last month of last year. So January of last year, right?
February, let's see. It would have been February 5th, would have been 1 year since I've been in the band. That was
Wow.
No,
Okay.
That was the tryout. And like Henry said, yeah, he sent me a couple of songs. Pursuit had already put out 2 singles with the previous drummer, both of which are listed as the demo version on our Bandcamp page. Henry sent me both of those, and then he also sent me a phone recording of a new song that they had been working out. I went into that tryout like shaking like this. I was like, "Hi guys, my name, I'm here to play in the band." And what was it, Henry? Probably a half hour into it, and you're like, "Dude, you want to be in our band?"
Yeah,
that quick.
dude, it was crazy because like Dalton and I were actually pretty depressed and pretty bummed for about 2 or 3 months, because when we parted ways with Rick, we were like, dude, we do not know any more drummers. And like, I mean, especially at that time, like Pursuit was one of the only things that we had got. So we were pretty bummed about it. We were like, well, let's still work on some new music, and see if we can get a drummer. And the one we had tried out previous to Wyatt was a super nice dude, and he was a good drummer, but this just wasn't really gelling, and that wasn't helping with our morale. So we went into this tryout with Wyatt going like, okay, like dude plays in a metal band, so he's definitely, closer to what we're looking for. And we were not expecting to just literally feel like he'd been in the band for years right after his first 4 count. So, I mean, we're like, all right, dude, you want to go through Scourge? He's like, sure, man. Just bam, went right into it. Didn't miss a fill. Didn't miss anything on it. Just blew us away. And we got done, and Dalton and I are like,
Just
want to join up?
That's how it went too.
So do you find it, again, it's not often that we have, a metal band, a thrash band as a 3-piece. Do you find that challenging? Is that something that you always kind of wanted? Do you want to have another member? I mean, what's that plan there? What's that dynamic?
Wyatt, I promise I'll let you talk in a second.
Oh, that's all right.
So there was a very brief moment in time where Dalton and I had considered, this was before Wyatt, we had considered a second guitar player. But by the time, it was kind of weird because we were considering it for the purpose of like filling out the sound of the band, and and then as time progressed and we started writing more music, then we were like, you know what, I think the way Dalton and I write our parts together just makes sense with it just being both of us, and we communicate and try to give as much as we take in terms of the writing process with each other, to the point where it was almost, we were like up to the challenge. Let's see how heavy we can sound with just one guitar and one bass player, but then also of like, not that within the context of the band there's any points of contention in terms of writing. I feel like all of us gel really, really well. I mean, our writing process is always pretty stress-free. We're always open to bouncing ideas off each other. But when it came to like the riffs in specific and the parts that Dalton and I play, especially when we bounce them off each other, we were just like, it might just complicate things a little bit to have one more personality in there kind of contributing to the writing process. So I think with 3 people, especially with Dalton and Wyatt's like knowledge with song structure and everything, it's just like it's a really efficient way of writing. Mm-hmm. And Dalton and I, we went to school together for audio engineering and music, so we've played a lot of music together and jammed together, so we got an ear for each other's tone and for how we played, and I think we don't have any trouble kind of filling out the sonic space with just us two. It definitely helps that Wyatt, I mean, just kicks like a fucking mule behind that that kit too. So
awesome.
Yeah, well, like I was saying before, seeing it live, I mean, if you only heard it and you hadn't seen it, you'd not think it's a 3-piece. And the way that you guys go back and forth and how Dalton slams the bass like that, I don't know how you can't even see his hand moving. It's just a blur. And And I don't know, like seeing it live, I could hear it, and I just wondered how it would translate onto a recording, because he's just beating the piss out of that thing. And then
Yeah.
the intro you played earlier, I could really hear it there. I'm like, damn, that sounds good. And then the way you guys bounce vocals back and forth too it's awesome. It's a great job.
Very, very cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I missed the live show. I got there late at the Christmas show, so I apologize. I missed Pursuit that day, but don't worry, I'll catch you live.
Pursuit of more shows.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think of like a 3-piece. This having the power. Obviously, some famous 3-piece. You got like Motorhead. You got Sodom. You got
Rush.
Destruction. Yeah. Prong always comes to mind. Prong was 3-piece. So anyway, I was just curious how that actually played out.
It doesn't seem like, but between the three of us, no one is fighting for space within the audio spectrum. I'm not fighting with Dalton for the bass sort of sounds. He's way down here, and my drums end up right here. And Henry's, his riffs are, a bit higher, and then his vocals range from, all over the place on there, which is nice. So there's a lot of blend between everyone's. It's not all like right here. It doesn't sound like there's one person in the band or something like that. And as a 3-piece, we fill out every single little nook and cranny.
That's
when it
awesome.
comes to our sound.
Very
And
cool.
you fit on a stage better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know how Slipknot does it.
Well, last time I saw them, they had a pretty big ass stage. Yeah, so you mentioned you've got the album that you're working on. So what's going on with that?
Ooh, so with that, we are scheduled to record or to begin recording that on April 28th. We are trying to stick with our own personal deadline of having the album completely released come the summertime. So it's been a long time in the making, so we're ready to just record it and get it out. But yeah, we are just finishing up with the last song on there, song and a half. We've had all of the songs, like the kind of the concepts and the general ideas completed for a couple months, but there was about, if you consider the last 3 songs on the album, the progress of those collectively, I'd say we had about 1.5 that we're working on. So kind of, I don't know, we just a few ducks to kind of get in a row, and some more nuance that we want to add to it after the general structure has been figured out. And then we're just going to go back and just rehearse the absolute piss out of every song that we have on this album. Exhaustingly, just over and over, make sure we have everything the way we want it. And one thing that we kind of like to do is, once we have a song written, we will almost like sit on it for a little bit, and then we'll come back to it at a rehearsal and we'll play through it, and we'll just sit there and think like, all right, is there anything we want to add to it? Is there any more vocal dynamic? Like, are there any fills that Wyatt wants to switch up at all, or any bass lines, things like that? So we're like basically pretty wrapped with it. It's just a matter of like fine tuning what we have left of the newer songs and then just rehearsing.
And if I can jump in on that, whenever we have been rehearsing or writing new material, one exercise that I've kind of developed with this band is we'll take a song and then we'll just slow it down 10 to 20%, get it, play it at like a 75% or 85% speed. That way we can really line up and really get into there what exactly we're supposed to be playing, or how exactly I'm supposed to be playing my fills, getting everything tightened. Because my whole thinking was, and I apply this when I'm practicing my drums, if I can play it slow, I can play it fast. And if I can play it fast, I can play it really slow. So the more defined that we can get it playing at these slower speeds and working our way up, the cleaner it's going to sound, the tighter it's going to sound, the more we can fill out that sound like we had talked about beforehand. And sometimes it's really difficult. Like we do a cover of Disposable Heroes, and playing that song at 70 to 80% speed is difficult. It shows up. It comes through though when you see us live and we're just blazing right through that thing. You know, it's that's not an easy song to go through, and it's
about as fast as I can play at about 65%.
Right. I think we're making pretty good dividends on that song and what that technique has given us as far as our speed and clarity and just overall tightness as a group.
I was going to ask you too about, because you played that Disposable Heroes cover live. Were you going to record that too, whether it's on the album or not?
We were planning on recording it. Yeah.
Cool.
We had it slated to. We had scheduled some recording time last month. That kind of fell through, so we're just kind of working through that. We've got some other things up our sleeve as well that we can talk about another time. But it's good. Everything's looking really good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that turned out really good. The promo video that is on your very cool stuff, man.
And that was you guys playing it at 70%?
No. Holy shit, man. When your whole set besides Disposable Heroes is songs that are about 3.5 minutes long, and then you're like, all right, cool, we got one last song for you and we're tired of shit, and it's like an 8-minute song, dude. When you get to minute 8, it's like
Gotta get that cardio up.
Gotta drink.
I'm behind the kid, so I'm not running around or anything. Dalton's back and forth on the stage.
Holy shit.
I don't know how you guys can keep that stamina, keep going.
Lots of practice. That's all I ever tell people is lots of practice.
And speaking of shows, you have one coming up at the end of the month. Want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, February 26th at the Aquarium in Fargo. That's kind of been our local stomping ground this last year. But yeah, we are headlining with Maul, who just as of, I think, last night got off of their tour. I think they were on the road for about 3 or 4 weeks, quite a long time. So that's super cool. They got out, played some really kick-ass shows. And then we've got Will Marvellis and Tom Tier and Drew Blood's band Coffin Rights is going to be joining on that bill, as well as Agony Reigns. So it'll be kind of a North Dakota and Minnesota bill. So good mix of thrash and death metal for that night. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
we got opening that show is the bass player for Thrall Frost, Neith Poger. He's doing a noise set. Yeah. So he derived that name from it's the serpent that gnaws on the roots of the tree of Yggdrasil.
Yeah,
I
didn't know that. See, this is educational too. I'm learning stuff. Right? Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be a great show. I saw Maul, Coffin Rights, and Agony Reigns here in La Crosse the day after Christmas, and awesome. All great bands. And Agony Reigns are friends of ours. They were on the show once, and we've talked about them a bunch, so that's going to be awesome.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's going to be brutal. I love those shows that are they're just the lineups that will pulverize people. I mean, I love one thing of just like metal in general, not even necessarily as a performer, but just as a spectator or a fan of the genre, is seeing the look on somebody's face when they're blown away by something. It was an experience that I had and continue to have when I discover new bands, and especially when you introduce new people into the metal scene that maybe don't even go to shows a whole lot, or maybe are shy, don't really know anybody in the metal scene, and then you bring them into a show like that with a really good lineup, and you feel the weight of these bands, and they go on stage and people just just blown away. It's so cool every time.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And we've been trying to promote this show any which way that we can. Myself and the bass player from Thrallfrost, who's doing this noise set at the beginning of the show, we went out the other weekend and we hung up posters all around town. So just trying to do anything, on social media or interviews like this. We were on the radio a handful of times.
Great.
Just trying to get the word out as much as possible.
Wonderful. Yeah. And we'll make sure that we link to everything that we can. And once we get this, in addition to the live stream we have now, the actual podcast will be live most likely by Thursday morning. So Thursday morning podcast will be live, so you can, I'll be able to tag you guys, and we'll share the piss out of this. So it'll be good.
Perfect.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated.
Well, and speaking of which, I mean, talk a little bit about the Fargo Moorhead metal scene in that area. I mean, what's it like there?
It's been, if I could just interject and talk about this, it's been really cool seeing it evolve over the last couple of years. When I came down for school back in 2015, it was dominated by hardcore punk. It's like every show that summer and into that fall was a hardcore punk show. And then Phobophilic started doing shows. That poster back there is actually their demo release show. I grabbed that from their merch table. Then Maul started up. My band, Thrallfrost, another black metal band called Demifiend, started up around that same sort of time. And this metal community in the FM area just kept on growing and growing, doing shows out of town. Gorgatron has always been a steady pull from this area, and so is Egypt. If either of you are familiar with the doom metal band Egypt, they stopped doing shows they haven't been a band since 2017. They actually opened for Ghost when Ghost came to town here. Ghost had an off date from their Iron Maiden tour, and Egypt opened for that band.
Wow. Okay.
So it's just been growing and growing and growing, and bands like Maul and bands like Phobophilic and this band Pursuit, we're really trying to get the Fargo, North Dakota name out there to other people, because we're in such a strange spot geographically. And we talked about this before the podcast too. If a band isn't coming through going up to Winnipeg, or if they're making the trek from North Dakota all the way across to Seattle or Washington, it's really a goofy spot to come and tour. So the fact that we've got something as healthy as we do of a metal scene is quite remarkable. And the talent as well, the different musicians too.
That's awesome. And I say you guys will put Fargo Moorhead on the map.
Appreciate that a lot. I think a big part of the success is the community. It is such a close-knit and supportive community, especially as of right now. I know like every music scene and every community has its drama that it has dealt with and that it currently deals with, but I got to give Fargo a lot of respect and a lot of props for persevering through a lot of the hard times, because it's like over the years, there have been some notable people in the scene that have been outed for less than respectable actions. And, the community was like, yo, we still want to do this music thing. Let's heal from this. Let's recover and make sure that we protect people and we make sure the scene is safe, and let's just keep it growing. And it's been persevered over the years, or persevering. That was grammar. Anyway, it has been persevered over the last few years, and kind of like Wyatt said, it just keeps on growing, and it's really cool to be able to go to shows, see people that you live a couple miles away with, have a couple beers or a soda, and just listen to some good music, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely making a name, because when I think of Fargo now, I think of metal. But a few years ago, and since I was in high school, I always thought of there was a picture in a local paper up there of two dudes shoveling snow.
Ha.
You know where I'm going with this one?
Yeah, we got some of that up here.
The caption was the names of the guys, and one of the guys' names was Haywood Jablom,
What?
otherwise pronounced as Haywood Jablomi.
Oh my God. I didn't
Never
see
seen
that
that?
coming, Jim.
No, and that's not a joke. That's actually real. I see it every once in a while still. I
Oh, that's funny.
think it was from Fargo. But yeah, so now you're known for metal, so good for you.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
man.
the only time, and I don't know if I talked about it on this podcast, but the only time I did go to Fargo a couple times for work, and I would drive there. And I remember I went to when I parked at my customer, I parked at my client, and I got a parking ticket, and I fought it because there was a tree that had grown so big it covered the no parking sign. Kid you not. So I had my little Sony Ericsson phone that took like a VGA photo. Like it was so bad, but I took a photo of this tree and I showed it to the Fargo Police Department. And yeah, I didn't have to pay my parking ticket. So that's the memory I have of friendly.
That's the memory you get. Oh my gosh.
And that's why you
You'll
a
have
big
to come
branch
up.
back of your
You
truck.
guys better come up with that show then, so you got a better memory of what Fargo's supposed to be then.
I have been there a few times. My sister went to MSU and we moved her in and I was 15 and went to Media Play and bought the Metallica Live Shit Binge Purge box way back
Nice.
when.
Nice.
And then I returned in 1999, I think, for a show at the Fargo Dome, Korn and Rob Zombie.
Nice.
Hell yeah. That's the other thing too, is the local record stores around here, dude. They're really good.
Yeah. We got 4 of them.
Yeah.
Orange Records, Mother's Music, DTFM, and Vinyl Giant. All 4 of them really solid. Yeah,
Wow.
really solid selection from all 4 of those.
That's amazing. And actually, that kind of leads into one of the things that we're going to talk about. Record Store Day, right? Announced today, solo effort by none other than Jim. Go ahead.
Kirk Hammett.
No
Yeah.
way!
I didn't expect that at all, to be completely
No.
honest.
Out of the blue, man. I just never thought you'd see something like that.
Yeah, my first thought was Kirk Hammett's solo record. Like, is he out of Metallica?
Like, what's? I
Like,
mean,
either that
remember?
or-
I mean, there was a time when they were very clear that if you're in Metallica, like you had to put 100% Metallica. Like they wouldn't let you do a solo project, or they wouldn't let you do another project, right?
James wouldn't let you.
Yeah.
If you watch, was it some kind of monster? They talk about that. How Jason wanted to do his side thing, and James, no, man, you're Metallica, or you're out.
Is
So,
is
may
Kirk
have
Hammett solo
changed.
just going to be all wah pedal?
Just a picture of a wah pedal. You know, that'd be kind of cool if they did, they're doing that blue colored vinyl. If on the back it was an etching of a crybaby.
I think it's actually all the solos from Saint Anger.
Oh, dig. Dig.
No, it's actually, I'm not sure how many songs are on it, but it's an EP called Portals, and it'll be out April 23rd. And it's instrumental, kind of a rock soundtrack kind of a thing. And I think I read that it's going to be a little horror themed.
Sounds about
Makes
right.
total sense from him.
I will be camped out in front of one of the record stores in town for Record Store Day that morning. So
That's awesome.
Yes, we know you're a huge Metallica fan. We saw you and we hung out in San Francisco
Yes.
after the second show.
yes. Yeah,
good
I
man.
collect quite a bit of Metallica memorabilia. I've got the remastered box sets. I've got that Live Shit Binge Purge box set that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Vinyl records. I got bootlegs. I got all the CDs. Yeah, it's
Nice.
it's quite the ordeal.
The last time, last Record Store Day, I wasn't able to make it, but a buddy of mine went, and he actually, I showed up to work, and on my desk, literally, he left me this picture disc, right, with the Trooper and Cross-Eyed Mary on it. Got that at
Nice.
Record Store Day, and Anthrax from Record Store Day. That was pretty badass.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, special record store available. So there's live from the Sonosphere. Pretty freaking awesome. Anyway,
Nice.
one of those things where I never even take it out. I don't have something to play vinyl. So
Dude,
I think they're called vinyl players.
Krios's dedication to Record Store Day is something to be admired. I swear to God. There was I think there was the last 2 Record Store Days fell on days that we had booked for gigs, and this was before we had our van. So we literally, Wyatt would be like, yo, I'll see you guys in such and such town at this time. I'm going to be waking up at like 5 a.m. and I'm going to be standing out here like getting records. And he's like, and then I'm going to make a detour and stop in Minneapolis to go to their Record Store Day. And it just did this huge loop. And we finally I think we were playing at Wasco's, and I was like sitting in Krios's car as we were getting ready to load up gear. And I open up the door and I get in, and the whole fucking floor and front seat is just paper bags of vinyls. He's like, yeah, dude, check out what I got. And just
That's the focus.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was my birthday weekend, so I was kind of like, fuck it. So I had set aside money, and that was exactly what I was gonna do. I hit up a handful of stores in the cities that had stuff that I was hoping they would still have, and they did. So I picked it up there. But yeah, exactly that. I woke up early in the morning. I hit up the 3 record stores here in Fargo. I drove down to the cities. I hit up the Electric Fetus, Egg Harder Records, Barley Brothers. I'm trying to think if I hit up Roadrunner or not. Oh, down in the valley, in Golden Valley. Mm-hmm. And then I drove up to Wasco's campground, and we did that show that night. And then the following day, I stopped in Fergus Falls at this record store that's only open on Sundays. Picked up some really cool psychedelic and jazz records there. So it was a great haul for me. It was totally worth it. I'm still listening through some of those records I haven't gotten a chance to listen to, but
that is pretty awesome. Speaking of which, Henry, are those 45s hanging behind you?
Yes, they are actually. These are
what kind of titles you got there?
Nothing that I listened to. I purchased them because they were on sale for like 10 cents a piece, and I just wanted something to hang up, because all the records that I have, all the records that I have down here are like the ones that I actually throw on my turntable. And
Sure.
These ones up here, let's see, we've got Wings of a Dove, Sunshine. Don't know any of these. I can't help wondering. Teardrop. Here it is. Yeah. That's
Right on.
So
I missed out on one at our store here, Audio Lust Records in La Crosse. It was only $1, and it was Bruce Willis. Next time I went back, it was gone when I went back for it. So
was that from the Highmooners or what?
I had never heard of it.
He played. He was in a blues band.
No, really?
He was. Yeah, he played harmonica and sang in a blues band. I don't remember. I don't know if it was like his name or if it actually had. I don't remember, but
it was Bruce Willis and Try Hard.
Oh man.
Dude, speaking of the vinyls, so there was had a few days off a couple weeks ago and was getting a bunch of shit done in my house, and I was like, you know what? I'm kind of bored. I'm gonna catalog my entire vinyl collection. So who's the best person to call? None other than Krios. So I fucking give him a call. I'm like, dude, can you walk me through Discogs and teach me how to like properly catalog my vinyls and shit? So I'm like sitting here with a bunch of old Judas Priest records and like some first pressings that I got over the years. And he's just like, okay, so tell me your indexing number. And I'm like, he's like, all right, So lesson number 1. This is how you find the indexing number. And then 45 minutes later, I'm still like holding my first record. And it's like, okay. It's like, so now that you know what that is, you can type that into Discogs and what comes up. And I'm like, okay, so this comes up. Okay, lesson number 3. But it helped. I got a very in-depth lesson, and my entire collection has been cataloged, which is super cool, but it is a rabbit hole.
Discogs is an amazing site. It's really cool. I spend more time on there than I'd care to admit, looking at different pressings of different shit. Like, oh, cool, that's that Motorhead 7-inch, but it's the one from Portugal on a different, it's on a different paper, and they had a little bit different color scheme on it.
So Jim, are you now, since you now are all in on this vinyl collecting, you gonna get on this or what?
I haven't really checked out Discogs, and I wouldn't say I'm all in. I'm just kind of rebuilding what I grew up by as a kid listening to, but
well, you definitely are more in.
Hopefully it's not gonna, maybe that's how a lot of people start. They get obsessed. They start small and all of a sudden got to get it all. But
that's exactly how it works. The first record I got, my dad bought for me. We went into Hot Topic and they had And Justice for All on vinyl. They had a really small record selection. And I was like, Dad, can I get this? And he's like, why? You don't even have a record player? Like, I know, but it's cool. It's a record and stuff. This would have been like 2010 or 11. And that following holiday season, I got my first record player. And the first record I bought with my own money was Master of Puppets. And then it just kind of exploded from there. It was the Warner Music did a reissue series of all the Metallica catalog on 45 RPM vinyl. It sounds really good when they remaster it at that speed. But it's beat the shit right now because I've listened to it, a couple hundred times. But I've got a couple of copies of Master of Puppets to go around, so I shouldn't have to worry about that.
Any vinyl that I have is typically in a frame hanging on the wall. Like I have this is still shrink wrap. This is my Pantera 20th anniversary Cowboys from Hell vinyl.
Oh, right on.
But it's still shrink wrapped. I'm never even going to open it. Actually, when I die, Jim will get it. He's in my will. Do you know that, guys? If I die, all my metal shit goes to Jim.
So I'm going to need an alibi.
Well, here, can I show you guys something real quick? I think you'll appreciate this.
Sure.
Here, give me a second.
While we're waiting, we do have an answer to the Bruce Willis record name in our chat. Giant Spleen says it's Return of Bruno, which sounds familiar. So that must be it.
Yes.
Thank you, Giant Spleen.
So this was something that I acquired off of Discogs. It's a first Japanese pressing of Master of Puppets. Still in the shrink, and it included an insert with it as well.
Wow.
And the actual record itself, I put them all into these anti-static sleeves, so no dust or anything gets on there. It sounds amazing.
Wow.
Nice.
So one of my favorite pieces.
That is really cool.
Contributing to the first pressings here. So this is my first pressing of the Germs album GI. This was the 1979 Slash Records pressing. So this was super cool. I got this back when I was really, really into hardcore punk. So kind of keep this one framed. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Kind of not as impressive as the Master of Puppets, but
well, I mean, it's your record, man. You got it on display. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's important to you. That's all that matters. No, that's
exactly.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Very
it's
cool.
Like the sentimental value, I think, of first pressings is what blows my mind more than like the financial value. Just knowing that like with your pressing Wyatt or like your Krios or with my Germs pressing, like just holding it and the realization that like Darby Crash from the Germs or James Hetfield or some shit could have held that in their own fucking hands blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I have like what my gateway to metal was after AC/DC, it was Twisted Sister. So I'm a huge Twisted Sister, Dee Snider fan. So I do have 3 Twisted Sister LPs framed out in my family room. Are they worth anything? Absolutely not. But they mean so much more to me because I mean, I was a 12 or 13-year-old kid holding a coat hanger as a guitar, like just pretending that I'm going to be this, rock star. And it's, I can't, you get it.
Yeah, 100%, dude. It's cool. It's like, it's the same thing with, I've got a 7-inch of the Nervous Breakdown EP, the Black Flag EP, and it was just like a 2015 repress, but it's like I'm never going to get rid of it because my mom got it for me for Christmas, so it's like same concept as kind of what you were talking about, just like, that's the one my mom got for me, so it's priceless.
Awesome. Very cool.
That's a good EP too, by the way.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like hardcore punk and like, are there any newer bands that are doing something like, for instance, like I'm a huge Cro-Mags fan. I was a huge Cro-Mags fan. They really did kind of this, crossover, hardcore metal kind of thrashy stuff. And, they had some stuff in the 2000s, like Revenge. And I mean, is there any newer band that is still doing some good hardcore and good punk?
Ooh, there is. But I feel like, trying to think, I know there's like a lot of local bands. I feel like it's pretty niche nowadays. But the most, like, for recent ones that I can think of would be like Government Warning or Direct Control, but one of the members of both of those bands is now deceased. I think, Krios, are you familiar with the band Limpwrist?
No, I'm not. Never. I don't usually dive into hardcore or punk unless it's local or it's I'm just happen upon it really.
Mm-hmm. I think there's this band called Limpwrist that's been around, I think, since the 90s, but in 2017, I think it was either 2016 or 2017, they put out another LP that's super good. I've been kind of out of touch, unfortunately, with like the punk world lately, especially since I started getting more into like the thrash and death metal stuff. But I know a lot of it is definitely within the realms of like local scenes and things like that.
So I know that there's been some tours recently with Bad Brains and like Crumbsuckers and shit. Like they're still doing tours now. If it's all just nostalgia or if there's anything new, just curious.
Yeah. There is Mommy Says No, which is a punk band out of Minneapolis. They just put out an album that's super good. I mean, we've played with them a few times and they always kick ass. And then there's another one called Borikaz Inc. It's another hardcore punk band from Minneapolis. They're super good.
Awesome. Cool, man. I'll have to check them out. Yeah, definitely. If they're local. Totally.
Hell yeah.
So let's we're coming up on time, guys. I wanted to just, Jim, we got a couple news items that I did want to touch on. And the big one that I saw today was, believe it or not, we might finally get a sequel to this monumental film.
Airheads.
One of the Lone Rangers are back.
Are you guys too young for that?
Probably.
I've only ever seen like the memes where they make it look like they're in Pearl Jam or something. Brendan Fraser is a national treasure, though.
Yes.
Yeah, this is his best role, easy.
And did I read that right? That he's going to be executive producer or something on the role?
Possibly. I didn't read much into it. I just saw the headline that they're working on a sequel, or someone in the article called it a reboot, but it's not really a reboot, but they're trying to get all the same people back, and hopefully
Uh-huh.
they do.
I'm so
Wasn't
excited.
it it was Brendan Fraser, Adam Sandler, and Steve Buscemi, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Another three-piece.
Right?
That's right.
Power trio.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up on that movie, and I know people that I talk to are interested and can't wait. So that'll be awesome.
Hagar or DLR? Come on.
He's
Okay.
a cop.
He's a cop.
Uh,
All right,
We'll have to
before
go
we
watch
wrap
it
up,
now.
guys, I want to make sure that listeners get a chance. One, really quick, the next show that you got coming up, and then where can people go to find everything they want to know about Pursuit?
So next show again, to reiterate, February 26th at the Aquarium in downtown Fargo. And Wyatt, Krios, you are the man with the organization and a lot of the internet presence. So I'll let you go into the next part.
We got a Facebook page. We got a Instagram page. We got a Bandcamp page. If you want to listen to our music, it's go on bandcamp.com. Type in Pursuit. It's Pursuit Thrash Fargo, I believe is how it works. We've got 3 different releases on there, 2 of which are demos. One of which is live at 1459 Studios. It's all good shit. Hopefully we can get our stuff on different streaming services for now. But yeah, bandcamp.com is the best way to do it. We got t-shirts there, and every t-shirt comes with Pursuit stickers. So if you want a Pursuit sticker, order a t-shirt or come to a show. We got them at shows too.
Oh, yeah. And another thing too, it feel bad that the stuff that we have out right now is so minimal because we kind of scrapped a lot of the old stuff we did. So if you're checking out our Bandcamp and our YouTube and stuff, the stuff we have up, we're confident with. Unfortunately, a little bit is with Krios, and then the 2 singles we have out are with the previous drummer, but our album's going to be out soon. It's going to be out 2022. So we just ask, please hang in there. We appreciate everybody's support. I mean, especially this last year, it has been an insane amount of progress with this band. And like, we know it'll be worth it. If y'all just kind of keep following us and hang in there. This summer, our album's going to be out. It's going to kick ass, and we're finally going to have some shit that people can toss in their stereos and listen to. So, yeah, hang in there.
Awesome.
Hopefully, the little bit of stuff we have out can hold you guys over. But yeah,
It appeases the appetite. And if they don't like that, they can always listen to Beneath the Wheel by DRI. Beneath the wheel, you know.
Dude, actually, we just talked about that last episode.
Yeah, I listened to that episode. You guys did a really good cover of Johnny Z, and then was that the one with Meatloaf in there too that you talked about?
I might have been the week before, I think.
Might have
I
been,
might have been
yeah.
a week before. Okay, I've got you guys on my rotation of
That's
podcasts
awesome.
along with a handful of other ones.
Thank you,
Yeah,
man.
thanks,
Thank
man.
you. We really do
Appreciate
appreciate that. And I want to, again, first of all, I want to thank you guys for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. We'll make sure that we share all your stuff to all of our channels when this podcast drops. We'll make sure that we also, as you guys get closer to releasing, we'll make sure that we spread the word. So thanks for joining. I want to thank everyone listening. We really do appreciate your support as well. You can go ahead and send us an email at thethrashreport@gmail.com. You can always find all of our socials at thrashreport.com. Jim, any last words, last remarks?
Just like to thank you guys again for coming on. It's been a good time, and we'll talk more about records later.
hell yeah.
Awesome,
Thank you guys
everybody.
so much, man.
See you next
Thanks, guys.
time. See you next time on the Thrash Report. See ya!